So, hello again from Riga, Latvia. This is Juris Kaja. A couple of interesting things today. This morning on Latvian television, morning kind of news and features program, Prime Minister Krišjānis Kariņš, who is a Latvian American, such as myself, announced that Latvia would not continue the state of emergency that it declared on March the 12th after the final day of the latest extension on June 9th. That means that more restrictions on public and private activities and commercial life will be probably eased, and only things that will remain in force will probably be social distancing. People should be keep 2 meters apart, especially outdoors if they're not family members, and also in places like stores and other public gatherings. There was an interesting incident the day before this announcement was made when the Latvian parliament, or Saima, was discussing the so-called administrative territorial reform, which basically means reducing Latvia from 119 different kinds of local governments and municipalities to a total of 42, which kind of outwardly seems rational, but it also sort of rubbed a lot of small villages and towns the wrong way. So people came in to Riga the other day and gathered in front of the parliament building. The police sort of tried to divide them up into different groups of 25, but there are quite a few people there, judging from what was on TV. But actually, that is a good thing that that sort of political freedom to picket and demonstrate has been renewed again. The other big news that just broke here, Latvian time, on the evening news, is that the European Union will announce tomorrow that it is allocating a 2.9 billion euro grant for Latvia to aid in its economic recovery from the whole COVID-19 emergency, which is a great thing, which means that in addition to some 4.5 billion euro that the Prime Minister talked about as coming from both the Latvian budget, now that the Latvia can overspend its EU-imposed budget restrictions, and as can most other European Union countries, and then a kind of public-private partnership in financing infrastructure investments over the next couple of years, sort of really pumping a lot of cash into the economy where there has been rather well, not by Latvian standard or by international standard, but pretty big unemployment. A lot of their 11,000 people lost their jobs, bringing the unemployment rate up to 8%, which would be enviable right now in the United States. But in actuality, the unemployment rate has been estimated at around 11%, counting those people who have been furloughed and who are being paid sort of furlough payments by the government. They're not formally dismissed from wherever they were working, but they have no work to do there. And so the government is paying their salaries instead of the employer. In other cases, the employer says, well, it's all over for us, so we're laying everybody off. And then they go on to the formal Latvian unemployment insurance system. But be that as it may, to my mind, the 2.9 billion grant, that's a hell of a lot of money for a country of under 2 million inhabitants, is brings to mind the 1990s, when there was a sort of G24 group of 24 countries allocated also a couple of hundreds of millions of dollars or whatever it was back then to kickstart the post-Soviet Latvian economy. And what the so-called G24, as it was called, also referred to in Latvian, G24, the whole thing there was an incredible boondoggle where just about everybody who could figure out a scheme for for scamming the whole project did so. Uh, so one can hope, and I think hope with certain reasonable certain probability that it's not going to turn out like the G24, that this money will be largely wisely spent, but probably also under the uh, close surveillance both of the Latvian authorities that are responsible for preventing corruption and waste of funds, and as well as the European Union. So we'll see that these 2.9 billion euro that we are going to be given, so to speak, that they are not sort of blown up, as I like to use a weird expression. They're not blown up the old wazoo as the couple of $100 million back in the early 90s were. So we'll see. So that's about all that's new there. We've sort of had summer here. I've only gone outdoors briefly. Been sitting at home, been writing a couple of stories, writing up this thing about the emergency ending for the Spanish news agency EFI, and just other stuff. But it's green and nice outside, and hopefully after the 9th of June, more people will be willing to get together and go outside. And I hope my friends at my little cohort of foreign correspondents, English speaking journalists, although the greater part of them also speak Latvian, that we can all get together sometime. And maybe, I'll record some of that on my phone and put that up here on Facebook, or more likely on YouTube. I am not happy with the quality of the way video appears on Facebook after I process it for Facebook and then sort of upload it to Facebook. What I'm going to do is probably upload this to YouTube in high def and then link to Facebook and see what happens. But that's about it for now. I'm not going to bore you with more rambling on about stuff here. This is Juris Kaja signing off from Riga, Latvia.